this image in from Bridge to Camera Raw where I did some slight adjustments. I straightened it, cropped it a bit, and corrected a bit the exposure. And now what I would like to do is actually just add some dodge and burn to it just to provide a bit more contrast. I just think the image is a bit too flat at this moment. So I'd like to draw the viewer's eye to the flowers at the top and brighten that a bit and then darken the walls so that the first thing the viewer takes a look at would be those flowers, and they would be a bright spot in the image. So the first thing I want to do is go over here to my layers panel, and I don't want to work on the original. I'm going to work on a duplicate of this photo. Background here just means that that's the original photo. It's just called background. It is a locked layer, but that's okay because we're not going to actually be working on it. We're going to just use that one as a before to compare the after to. So there's a few ways that you can create layers, and I will show you two ways. One way is to actually just click on this layer, bring it down to this sheet that's at the bottom here where you have some options here. And it's a sheet that kind of has a corner that's pulled over. And as you can see, it created a background copy, and you can double click in that area and then change the name. You can also delete the layer by grabbing it, holding, and bringing it down to the trash icon right at the bottom. Another way to create a layer is by just tapping in Command J, and as you can see, here's layer 1. I'm actually going to name this one Dodge and Burn so that I know that's the layer where I've done the dodging and burning. Now, if you wanted to delete this layer without having to drag it down to the garbage there, you could just right click and then delete layer here from the menu. I don't want to do that right now, so I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to go over here to our left side, and what I want is to navigate to the dodge and burn tool area. I actually have the burn one chosen, but I want the dodge tool. It actually shows you which one is active. If you happen to not notice it there, you will have like a little square, and you have a shortcut that will switch back and forth, and you just tap O in order to do that. In this case, I'm going to choose the dodge tool. And what happened here was it turned into this circle. And you have to think of this circle as a paintbrush that you're going to load with paint, and then you're going to paint your picture. So you can change the size of your paintbrush by going up here to this menu that has changed as a result of us choosing the dodge tool. To choose your brush, you click right here where it says 600. That number will change, and that is the size of your brush. Right now it's 600. As I said, you can make it a lot bigger. That's too big, and I could certainly make it a lot smaller, and that would be too small, of course, to do any work on this particular file. What I want is something probably between, I don't know, 300, maybe about 364. That's fine. I can then change that size if I want when I start working on it, and I'll show you the shortcut for that as well. The hardness, you probably want to keep it at 0. What the experts say is that usually in all cases of dodging and burning, what you want is a soft brush. And you have to think again of a paintbrush that you're going to apply to a canvas, and what you want is not a stiff brush. What you want is a soft brush, so you get some nice soft strokes. And so in this case, with dodging and burning, you always probably want that to be at 0%. You can leave it as is. Then you go over here to range. And range really just means that you select a range where you'll be working on. You can choose shadows or highlights. So for example, if you have a really dark area you would like to brighten, you might want to switch to shadows. And highlights would be the opposite of that, of course, but midtones is a good place to start, especially when you're experimenting. Now, the exposure you have to think about a little bit. This controls basically the intensity of your brush strokes. So the higher the number, That's basically meaning the more paint you've loaded onto your paintbrush. And so, if you've done any painting, which I know most of us have done at some point in our lives, the more paint you put on your brush, the more intense that color is going to be, and the thicker it's going to be on your canvas or your wall. That usually is not a good strategy to begin with. What you might want to do is start with an exposure of maybe 30%. You can even go a bit lower and then build up your strokes as if you're painting a wall. That way you can add more paint on top of the other paint you've added, but it won't have like that first very thick streak that could cause some problems in your picture. Mind you that you can always command Z to go back if there's something you don't like, but just keep that in mind that it's better to just build up that intensity that you're looking for and take it slowly as opposed to doing something very dramatic or drastic off the top. So the next thing you want to do is make sure that your Protect Tones box here is checked. And what this does is it actually explains there, it minimizes clipping and shadows and highlights. It really just it ensures that you don't go overboard in terms of what you are doing, that you build up these unnatural color casts. And so it won't look unnatural as long as you keep the Protect Tones box checked. Okay, so once you have that, you can begin your painting. Now, the brush seems a bit small for the work that I want to do, so as I was saying before, there is a shortcut so that you don't have to keep going up here to this area and opening this brush picker. What you can do is go to your bracket and click on your right bracket button here or key to make the brush bigger, and then you would use your left bracket key to make it smaller. So I'll leave it around there for now. And because I am trying to brighten this area, I think I'll work with this brush size now and then make it a bit smaller as I work on this area here. So to begin brightening, just click down and you can just start painting in that brightness. Now, as I'm doing this, you may say, I don't see much of a difference. Actually, I'm going to make my brush smaller, but I will show you in a second what it looks like when I turn this layer off. So I've just done a bit there, and I've gone over it a couple of times, so I'm just building up that brightness. And now I'm just going to go over here to the layers. And to turn off a layer, there's this little eye icon over here. It just says that, indicates layer visibility. I'm going to unclick it, and now I'm going to click it again. So you can see that it just is a bit brighter. Now it looks a bit strange because that brightness is all there, but the walls are still kind of bright as well. So I'm not totally happy with that. I think I'm just going to go back one. So I'm just do a Command Z, and you can see it's a bit less bright than it was before. So I'm a bit happier with that, but I may paint over it again once I see what it looks like in terms of the walls, once I darken those walls and the stairs a bit. So we have to go over here to this tools panel area. I'm going to choose the burn tool. And again, you could switch back and forth using toggle, basically back and forth using the 0. I'm also, what I may do is just zoom in a bit. And now I have to go back, but instead of going back to the menu, I'm just going to press 0, or sorry, O, and now I have that brush again. I'm now in the burn area, and my exposure here changed a bit, so I want to make sure it's not. Let me just go back. I don't want that. I'm just going to go back to 30% and start working slowly just to see how I like that. And with the burn tool, you can actually see a difference here. So I'm going to stop for a second, turn off that layer, and you can see that it's already a bit darker. So I've been working on the image for a bit, and I don't think it's entirely done. I think I would continue working on it and making some more adjustments, but I just wanted to show you the difference between the original image and now the one that has been dodged and burned. So I'll turn the layer off. So that's my original image. So now I'm going to turn on that layer, and as you can see, I've brightened up the flowers quite a bit and darkened the walls. And so it's created a bit of contrast. And I think, as I said, I would probably continue working on it, but you can definitely see that difference. And it also gives it a bit more of an artistic look to it.